How ready?
So ready.
Okay, let's go.
Magnolia Crawford.
I think we're live.
Yeah.
I think.
Boop.
Oh god, I was attacked.
Sneak attack.
That was a sneak attack.
Attack.
Hey guys, how's everyone going? It's
Hi.
the 2nd of July, 2 days before Independence Day in America.
Yeah.
Which I'm
What?
sure is exciting for everyone.
It's not Independence Day in America.
I said 2 days before Independence Day.
Oh, I missed that.
We are.
Oh, you! Ow!
We're injuring each other.
That was a pinch of skin. That hurt.
Pinch of doom. We're injuring each other. We're both sick. And we're getting sick.
Yeah.
So this is going to be good.
Yeah.
We figured that today we're going to talk about Final Fantasy villains. We were tempted to talk about something else in light of Lauren's video yesterday.
Yeah, we were thinking about, we'll just come out and say it, we were thinking about talking about 10-3 stuff. But I figured, I think some people are quite salty.
Some people do seem to be, yeah.
Yeah, they seem to be very salty, haven't read the novel, and refuse to accept its existence.
Don't blame them. So, yeah. Okay, right. Greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
Welcome. What do I mean by ultimate? The definition.
What do you not mean about ultimate?
Should be the best, the greatest, the most
greatest,
fantabulous, fantastic,
greatest.
ultimate villain of all time in the Final Fantasy franchise.
Or are you trying to say that we're trying to insinuate Ultimecia as the greatest villain in Final Fantasy history?
I don't think anyone's trying to insinuate that.
Yeah.
Someone did make a joke at her expense, Rachel, earlier.
Thank you, Rachel.
Ultimecia, or Ultimecia, depending on how you want to say it.
Yes.
So, our topic today, is going to be ultimate Final Fantasy villains. I see that some people have already been putting in the chat their ultimate Final Fantasy villains, but
everybody's like saying Ardyn.
If you want to paste them in now, go for it. We're going to be discussing different options from the different games. And do you have an ultimate villain?
I mean, I always love Seymour. I really do love him. He's just a character that you just love to hate, and I just think he was really well done in Final Fantasy X. I thought he was just so cool, and I love his design. His hair is cool, and I like him. And I mean, Caius is really good as well. We only just started Mike Souza. Honestly, come on.
You're not supposed to be criticizing us for not mentioning Caius. You're supposed to be telling us about why Caius is the best, the greatest.
Yeah. But no, I do love Seymour, and his story is intense, very intense when you dive into it. But yes, who is your favorite?
Oh, did you just go forward with your favorite, or were you doing one of your favorites?
No, I did my favorite.
Oh,
I'm sorry. You asked me for my favorite. I gave you my favorite.
Ahoy, Sphere Hunter.
Hi.
How are you on this gracious day?
Hello, Sue.
Who's my favorite villain? Yeah, Don Corneo. Let's do it. No. I don't know, actually. See, why was I saying Caius is a really good one. I feel like he was kind of let down by the game though. Like he's a really Caius is a really strong character.
Long time no see.
Yeah. He's a really strong character. He's got awesome design, awesome theme, probably one of the best villain themes, battle themes of all time. But I felt like the narrative that surrounded him wasn't necessarily the strongest. I didn't really like his cameo in Lightning Returns that much. Sephiroth is he's like the definition of a villain because he's
Misunderstood.
Yeah, he's the classic misunderstood character.
Silver hair.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily. That's the definition.
Tall, dark, and handsome.
Nor that.
No.
But no, like, I mean, Sephiroth. He obviously with Crisis Core they went more into his past, but he has the. If technical issues were actual technical issues.
Yeah, no. Technical issues were I did not charge the battery, so we may not
disappear at some point.
We may disappear at some point, and we will not be coming back face-wise. So enjoy this face.
There's a picture of Ardyn that's going to appear if we disappear.
Yeah.
But no, I feel like Sephiroth, like he was so perfect because he had. I think the whole thing about a good villain is you need a good foil. So like with Sephiroth as well, like the way they positioned him, and it was the same with like some of the earlier games, like Kefka's the same. That it's something that they've kind of missed, and 15 went back to, kind of, was the persistent villain. Like there were a lot of the games after 7 didn't have that notion of a persistent villain.
Yeah.
Or I mean, or they kind of did, but he wasn't the ultimate villain. So like. 9 had Kuja, but Kuja isn't the ultimate villain. And 10 obviously had Seymour, but again, he's not the end game. Vayne, I thought was okay. I mean, Vayne's probably one of the most ruthless ones in terms of like he really craves power. Like they really go into like the actual sinister side of things, and I think. You know, maybe if Final Fantasy VI had been portrayed in the same graphical style with voice acting and such, then Kefka would have come across as a lot harsher than he did. And obviously, a lot of things that Kefka does are quite cruel and evil. Yeah. But I think Vayne, like, you know, the fact that he just kind of flippantly talks about the fact that he's murdered his siblings and like the whole the judge scene, which people will know about. I'm not going to go into two spoilers.
Yeah, because the game's coming out so soon, so you don't want to talk about it.
But I think with Vayne was kind of a persistent villain, but the whole thing is that with 12 is that the story's kind of here, there, and everywhere. And I know there's like even people now. The whole new thing is that Ash is actually the villain of Final Fantasy 12. All this other stuff going on. 13, again, no persistent villain.
Whatever his name is, Bartandalus. Like.
Or Galen Dysley, or
just knock him over. He's done.
Yeah. So
but Sue was saying about Adia, and I do have mad love for Adia. Her theme, her costume, her just presence was so good in Final Fantasy VIII. Like when you saw her, you knew crap was gonna go down, or when you heard her theme, you knew crap was gonna go down.
On Vicky, you said about Hojo. I think.
Hojo is a great one.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, someone. I don't think I am. Maybe Caius, but Hojo actually probably has more, like, in terms of persistent time. He appears as a villain in more games than anyone else.
Kind of, yeah. Because he's in Dirge of Cerberus.
He's the main villain in Dirge of Cerberus.
He's a side villain in 7, and then he's also in Crisis Core. Yeah. And
yeah, he is, as you rightly pointed out, he is the guy who's. Well, he's Sephiroth's dad, so, yeah. He started it all. What? Cal Lucas.
Yeah, you're going to get a nice pick through the chest, 100%.
Cal Lacus, what do you feel you need to set the record straight about Final Fantasy 15?
I do, getting back to villains, though, I do love Ardyn. I think that Ardyn was a good turn in the right direction. Like... He was like a persistent villain. The only thing with Ardyn that I didn't like was the fact that he didn't go all the way. Like they could have pushed his character a lot further. I wish we could have seen more of like his infiltrating the Empire and stuff. I would have just liked more of him.
Yeah, I would have just liked to have seen more of Ardyn.
Yeah. But I do like him. I do like him a lot.
I think, it's kind of telling that, Ardyn is a popular character because of what we don't know. Not necessarily because of what we do know. Like
it's like all this stuff that we sort of think about him.
It's kind of the same with the Final Fantasy 15 story in general. Like it's that kind of the stuff that wasn't there.
Yeah. The potential.
But we know that was there. it's actually quite interesting that Cal, like as you've actually just said, that's what you want to talk to us about. Well, that's what we're here to do right now. But like, yeah, there's so much with Ardyn that we didn't really get to see, and like, you know, I mean, obviously, I mean, I remember we're saying battery low warning. Oh no!
Oh no!
I remember in my review for the game of Final Fantasy 15, I talked about Ardyn being the villain. People got upset about that because they thought that was a spoiler. I wasn't too sure that was a spoiler. But I feel like he didn't really do that much until like right towards the end of the game that really made him villain worthy.
Like chapter 13.
If you think about the previous games like Sephiroth, you know you're trying to do something to say such and such. And I think that's an important thing. Like Ardyn, it's only really towards right the end of the game. It's kind of like a merger of the two, where in like 9, 10, and 13, you only really find out like the true thing that's going on right towards the end. A new boss appears, blah 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 blah. Whereas in the previous ones, it was like Sephiroth's trying to do some mean stuff, Kefka's trying to do some mean stuff. You gotta sort it out. Yeah. And you maybe find out a little bit more about their motivations as you go through, but like the objective is still kind of stop them from destroying the world. And of course that's the objective in Final Fantasy 15 too. Yeah. But you don't really, I think as players you can kind of allude, like you gather or you understand that Ardyn needs to be stopped at some point. You don't really understand necessarily why, but the characters themselves just don't realise it until basically, until after Alticia, I'd say.
Yeah, you know what? That is actually a good point, Adamus Prime. The fact that he doesn't have a final form, the fact that you are just fighting him in his sort of human look, that would have been so cool if you could fight him in his demon form.
It was blatantly like a time constraint thing.
Yeah, it probably was. And I think I saw earlier someone's asking whether or not we might actually see an episode Ardyn, and to be honest, from everybody who I've talked to, it seems like a lot of people did vote for episode Ardyn. So with any luck, hopefully we'll get that. We'll get the Ardyn DLC, which would be great. But obviously we don't know at this moment.
I mean, I didn't want to go too much into Ardyn's objectives right now.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to spoil everything for people.
I mean, like there is actually a very detailed description of Ardyn. I mean, there's an argument to say that Ardyn's actually the argument for Ardyn.
He's a hero.
He's actually the hero of the game. But I didn't really want to talk about that too much.
So we'll get on to like the older ones a bit. Like, I mean, I see a lot of people saying about Kefka, and I do love Kefka. Like, I think Kefka is really, really just crazy. But even still, like, in a remake, I kind of want to see a grungier sort of almost Chris Nolan-esque Kefka.
Yeah.
To go along with that, because I want him to go darker, because I felt like he was still really lighthearted in his persona. So I feel like even though he was doing all this horrible stuff, you can kind of ignore the extent of what he was doing and kind of laugh at him. And like, but he did a lot. Like, he poisoned a whole town. Like, he killed so many people and did so much just to screw everybody over. Like, but you just don't feel like he's being evil, if that makes sense. And if they did do a remake, I would love to see them explore how dark they could make him.
Bomazzy, you're asked about whether Final Fantasy villains need a final form, and I'd say, well, obviously they don't have to have one.
No.
But it is kind of commonplace. Like, they pretty much all do. I mean, Final Fantasy VIII had a final form. Kefka has his final form. Seymour has a final form. Jecht has a final form. Like, they pretty much just... Vayne has a final form. Orphan is Orphan.
And Okubo X200X, that is where I was going. Because Kefka is... like, you can't ignore the fact that Kefka is very similar persona-wise to the Joker. He is very similar to the Joker. The only thing that's missing is the foil, because... the reason why the Joker is so great is the fact that he is such a exact foil to Batman. And I don't really see any of the characters in Final Fantasy VI as a foil to Kefka other than just not being evil.
No.
So that's what makes him a bit less of
gives him a
bit less of an impact.
That's why I feel like, going back to the persistent villain thing as well, and having the foil, it's why Sephiroth kind of stands alone really as that villain, because he has Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Like, none of the other games really have that kind of versus relationship between the two characters. And I think, they could have done it if Caius had been the villain in Final Fantasy 13, not 13-2. It would have been so much stronger, because they tried to do it in the second game, where Lightning and Caius were kind of the two people that were fighting against each other. But the problem was that Lightning wasn't the protagonist of 13-2. It was Serah. And Serah didn't have Serah and Noel, and those two didn't really. Noel kept trying to be Caius' friend, didn't really understand what was going on, and Serah was just Serah. But Lightning was the one that had the antagonistic relationship with Caius, but that wasn't really the main point of the game. You have to say something.
Oh,
talk.
What am I saying? I'm sorry. I'm just reading.
They can't see us. We're blind.
Which villain has the most forms? I would say it's probably Kefka. Like his last
Ultimacy
form.
has 4, right?
Yeah. Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Sephiroth has got a few.
I don't know how many. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I just remember Kefka's freaking battle was freaking long. That was just a long battle. But no, I love Seymour. Like, getting back to Seymour is just so great.
I mean, I guess, like I said, villain. Like, Seymour isn't technically the villain of Final Fantasy X.
He's my villain of Final Fantasy X.
He's an antagonist.
He's the only one that's recurring, and he's also got the best battle theme.
But I wouldn't say say that Yuna is the opposition to Seymour. It's Tidus.
No, it's Tidus.
But then again, the reason for him not liking Seymour is wrong. It's the fact that he's jealous.
One, yes and no. Like, he knows that Seymour has done a lot of bad things that were wrong.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But it's like, the thing with Cloud and Sephiroth though is it's personal, but not on the fact that he's like, he's jealous about a woman, or
not on the
something.
fact that Yuna wants to marry him. Their
kind of thing is very deep rooted.
Yeah.
Who is Ultima Sea's foil? That's a very good question. You could probably argue that it's Adia.
Her foil, I would guess probably in a way Rinoa, maybe, because Rinoa is so happy and pure, and Ultimecia is just not.
Yeah.
Like, Ultimecia is just seething in hate, which is why I do love that theory that Ultimecia and Rinoa are the same person, because I think it's just so fantastic, and it would provide so much depth to Final Fantasy VIII. Like, I love Final Fantasy, like, theorizing about Final Fantasy VIII. Even though I know that, the developers have, like, batted away things quite a bit. That's why, like, I have mad love for Nojima, because he entertains ideas. Like, he doesn't just shoot them down. He just makes you, like, think about them a bit more. Like, when people were saying, are there connections between Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy VII? He was just like, yeah, probably. Like, maybe. And it makes your wheels turn, and it helps you just sort of look more for clues of how this could work. And I just think it encourages creativity, and I love that. Whereas, like, just their way of just saying, no, Ultimecia can't be Rinoa. It's just like, oh, well, great, thanks. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Kuja, I do love Kuja.
I loved Kuja because he was a persistent thing. Like, he was pulling all the strings that we thought, but then obviously you learn that he isn't. Like, he's having his strings pulled, and I think, like, that it was a shame that happened, really, because Kuja just kind of went from this kind of all power, like, really cool guy who was manipulating, like, all of the world's events, kind of similar to Ardyn, really.
Yeah.
To some guy who was just, like, a bit crazy. But yeah, I liked Seymour. I thought he was a good villain. Like, you
wanted to hate him.
He did enough to piss everyone off, especially that Ronzo
Yeah.
The bit with the Ronzo.
Oh yeah, when he killed all the Ronzo, I was so devastated, and the fact that he was just so happy about it as well, like it was just so sad. But I do love the design of the judges in Final Fantasy 12. Like the judges are some of the best designs.
That is the problem with Seymour. The Seymour's motivation was just the classic cliche thing of like, I want to end all suffering. Great. But then that's exactly what Sephiroth's motivation was too. Like it's
he wanted to destroy the world to save the world.
Yeah, it's.
But like when you think about his backstory, it's kind of understandable.
What Seymour?
Yeah, because he was just completely thrown out of society.
Whereas Sephiroth was more like, I'm an alien.
Yeah. You never understand me because I'm an alien. It's like, you're okay, Sephiroth. You're okay.
That whole thing with Final Fantasy, like with Dirge of Cerberus and all that stuff, like it just the Final Fantasy VII lore became a bit crazy.
Yeah. Nah, that was a really cringe scene. The wedding scene. I remember when I was in high school, I really wanted Yuna's dress for my wedding. That would have been too much freaking feathers.
Are you saying how about Bartandus as in how about him being the ultimate villain, or how about his motivations for doing what he did?
I liked Seymour's voice. I just think it worked for him. Like I can't really imagine him having any other type of voice, really.
Did we say that Sephiroth was trying to destroy the world to save people?
Oh no, I was saying Seymour. I was saying Seymour was doing that.
No, you said Sephiroth is trying to destroy the world to save the world, but it wasn't that he's trying to save the world to save the people in the world. He's trying to actually save the planet.
Yeah,
that's what he's trying to do, because he feels the planet's become infested and all this stuff. So
yeah,
he wants to kill all of the kind of humans.
It's a common thing, and it extends even past freaking Sephiroth. I mean, like if you want to go into sort of graphic novels, just look at Watchmen. Like that was made years and years and years ago, and the lead villain of that, he believes that the world would be saved if they destroyed it, if they destroyed a piece of it in order to create chaos and in order to create to reset it a bit and get rid of some of the scum of the earth, and but also inspire people to do good. And like, you know, it's a common plot point.
Norg, I think Norg is just
Norg.
Yeah, he's just the thing.
I didn't really understand his inclusion in Final Fantasy VIII. I must
say, Norg for me is the whole thing that makes that school is dead theory just seem plausible. Because what the hell is that about?
Yeah, where did he come from? Yeah, Ozymandias. I haven't read Watchmen in a long time, but yeah, Ozymandias. Yeah, that's it. I hated that guy. I hated him for so long because I was so I think a lot of people were, but I was so team Rorschach with all that stuff. But yeah, sorry, that's all.
I with the 7 remake, stuff. I really hope they do more about Hojo, because if they make Vincent a non-opt, like if they integrate Vincent more into the story, it would make perfect sense for them to talk more about Hojo and Sephiroth and Lucrezia and then Grimoire. Like that would make sense to me, because I feel like with today's storytelling, that I feel like they're going to try and give us more motivation around Sephiroth. And with Hojo becomes a perfect part of that. And then obviously when you fight Hojo in the various points of the game, then they're going to become much more kind of like rage fueled instances. And
I'm glad, Jamal, that we've or was it Jamal? Yeah. I'm glad, Jamal, that we gave you some inspiration to go back and play Final Fantasy VIII. Final Fantasy VIII has some really great parts in it. I mean, the fight between Balam and Gabaldia is
one
like
of the most awesome cutscenes.
Oh, that is just so epic. And like there's some really great moments in Final Fantasy VIII that
I even
make
like
it
the
worth
fact
it.
that like they made Irvine like the playboy.
Yeah.
Just have like like he was so
It's had
confident
such
in
a great
everything, and then
cast.
he misses the sniper shot.
And that's the thing. That's what I could say as well. Freaking Seifer in Final Fantasy VIII, like Seifer, Raijin, and Fujin. Can I say how long I was stuck on that freaking battle when you go into Balam, the city, between Fujin and Raijin? I would always like get past the first bit against Raijin, but then because there was no break and I didn't have any potions left, I would go straight into the fight with Fujin and Raijin, and then just have my ass handed to me. Screw like even drawing the GF. I was just like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die.
So yeah, like Hojo is Sephiroth's dad.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the whole thing with that is that obviously Vincent was with Lucrezia, Hojo and Lucrezia do some stuff.
Yeah,
but I feel Vincent is
which
involved
is
somewhere.
really weird. Like
The whole thing's just
Lucrezia,
weird.
what the hell were you thinking? Like the guy.
It's for science. For science.
Oh, it's horrible, Lucrezia. Shame on you. Vincent is so much hotter.
Turks Vincent, sure.
Turks Vincent. Yeah, maybe not dead one. Yeah, necrophilia is not really a good color.
What Final
Necron.
Fantasy had the best gameplay system? Final Fantasy 13 for me.
I'm going to get so bashed for this. Final Fantasy 10 freaking 2. I love that system so much. I love focusing on 3 characters. I love the dress tier system. I know people hate that game, but you know what? I don't care. I loved it and I played the crap out of it. Boom. Final Fantasy VIII did have a really great final boss sequence. Like that whole thing. Maybe I'm a lion sequence.
Oh, the castle.
Like the Maybe I'm a Lion sequence was just so stellar. And then just going into the extreme, like that was just such a great sort of transition into everything.
That's a Necron. Yeah, I can't remember what it is, but I still remember when I was playing Final Fantasy 9, Necron appeared, and I was just like, who the hell is this guy?
Who the F is this guy?
We didn't Conor McGregor it. No,
Yeah.
like I just like when it was the same with Final Fantasy 13 with Orphan just appeared. You just like at least when Final Fantasy 8 with Ultimacia and Final Fantasy 10 with Yu Yevon, they at least somewhat explained who the hell these guys are.
Yeah.
Whereas like it just I genuinely don't know who thought that Necron was a good idea. They were like, guys, we've got to round out the story somehow. Kuja's gone. Garland's gone. What have we got left? Necron. Yeah,
Necron. Let's just throw him
let's
in.
go for it.
Josh, I honestly like. I think Final Fantasy X-2 is a fun game for people to hate. One, because it's a sequel. It's like the first sort of official sequel that happened. 2, because it's an all-girl cast. And 3, because it's a lot more lighthearted than probably Final Fantasy X was and less serious.
Well, Final Fantasy X-2 has parts that are way more serious.
It has way more serious parts. I absolutely will defend Final Fantasy X-2 to the end and will say that I think most of the people who bash it didn't even give it a fair shot. You didn't play the Den of Woe. You didn't do the whole thing with Shuyan. You didn't watch all the dress spheres. You didn't give the game a solid shot. You need to give the game a solid shot.
I feel like it was exactly the same
great.
with X-2. It was exactly the same as when they announced it when it came out. You know, within the community, all the forums and stuff, all the guys were just like, "Oh, I don't want to play this Charlie's Angels game."
Yeah,
and all they were focusing on was that initial cutscene where it's like YRP reporting for duty.
It's that, and then the one I always see is the freaking LeBlanc massage scene, and it's just like, oh, come on.
The funny thing is though, right? So JRPGs are so typically like tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah,
they will have this.
Some of them go a bit further. Mugen Souls
and X-2 was really a kind of a classic JRPG.
Yeah. Like, I absolutely love X-2. Final Fantasy X-2 has it has a pretty good story. Like, it's, Pain has a solid backstory. You obviously know what's going on with Yuna and Riku. And then Shuyin, the villain. I mean, Shuyin is a really great villain. He's a good villain. He has solid backgrounds. You have Nuge, Gipball, Barreleye. They're all fighting with everyone, and they're all with Pain. Like, there's a lot of good in Final Fantasy X-2.
I wouldn't say that we're defending X-2 by saying that you have to do everything to
well,
like it.
No. The only reason why I say that is because I just get so fed up with people just instantly hating Final Fantasy X-2, saying it shouldn't exist, when I bet like half those people haven't even tried to play the game, because
I still know a lot of people who have never touched X-2 because they have this preconceived notion that they think it's going to suck.
Yeah, and it's actually great.
It has a lot of cool stuff in it as well. It has a really good, well implemented New Game Plus system. The gameplay was really good.
But that's the thing. Like, Leon Nacht, it's like the Titus thing was to suck you in. It was the catch. But like, and that's what I say in my video, is that like it ends up being Yuna's story. Yuna owns it. Yuna takes the story for herself, and it's about her journey.
But yeah, I mean, it was never meant to be.
It was never meant to be.
To be honest, I have no idea what they were thinking when they made the game. Like, in the sense that like it was kind of it was Square transitioning into a kind of a new era. Like, they'd never done a sequel before. I don't think it was planned, which is why they had to write the story the way it was. And like, yeah, like it was the first time they'd ever done it. So sure, they were kind of feeling things out. It was Toriyama as well. Like, he obviously was one of the creative influences on Final Fantasy X. X-2 is much more Toriyama coming out. Yeah. And then he kind of refined his approach into being much more serious with Final Fantasy 13. But I think, yeah, it was just like it was kind of a light-hearted game that had lots of serious elements to it.
Yeah. And I mean, like, if you play any of the other Final Fantasy spin-offs, like, there's a great deal of them that are light-hearted. They're not as serious as the main games. Like, Crystal Chronicles is kind of a sure enough thing of that. But the fact that they just decided with Final Fantasy X-2 to just be like, this is like a completely different tone, But I think they also just wanted to make a girl game. They wanted to make a game that
Toriyama.
Was about girls.
Toriyama loves his female protagonists.
Yeah, and I liked it.
But yeah, I mean, there was a lot to hate about X-2 at the time, because Final Fantasy, like, Square had always been very clear about the fact that every story was self-contained. Yeah. They were never going to do sequels, and that's what made it really appealing, and that's what made the characters so impactful, because they had to make them amazing in this one single game. Like, they didn't have a franchise that they could build up. They're not going to be a Master Chief or like a Nathan Drake. They are going to be one character, one game. And that's what made them so strong. And it also meant that the Final Fantasy franchise could grow considerably. Yeah. Now, like, with X-2, yeah, there was a lot to not like about it. But, I would definitely say, like, if you haven't played the game, at least give it a chance. Go into it with an open mind. Yeah. It's a different type of experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun. And, just sort of sitting there and being like, oh, it just shouldn't have existed. It's like, well...
It does.
It does. And if we want to talk about milking, we can talk about freaking Final Fantasy 15 and Monsters of the Deep. I'd take X-2 over Monsters of the Deep, if I'm honest. Yeah. But yeah, like, I mean, yeah, that went off in a complete tangent. But no, I would qualify Shuyin in that list. I do love Shuyin.
But it's true. Do they ever explain why he looks the same as Titus?
They don't explain it now. I mean, he does look a bit different. Like, he's a bit of a doppelganger. Because he has a bit more of a rugged look. His hair comes over his face instead of being the way that Cloud, the way that Titus is, where it's like split down the middle, you know. So many differences.
Josh, no, I haven't actually ever played any of the Final Fantasy like fan-made games.
No, I haven't either.
I played the side-scrolling beat 'em up, which they then kind of stole for A King's Tale.
I don't mind the skimpy outfits. Like, I just sort of they were fun.
They're not all skimpy. It's like half and half, right?
Like they were fun. Like, you know, if you're a girl and you've never worn a bra like piece, or even a boy and never wore like a 2-piece thing to try and look cute, like, you know, it's fun. It's dress up. The only thing I always had a problem with was the fact that, like, one of them, Pain, had really big camel toe. I think it was her songstress outfit. I was just like, this is really glaring. But at the same time, I was just like, I love Pain. I don't think that Shuyin and Titus are connected. I think they just happen to look alike. I think they just happen to look similar. And that was sort of their bite.
Yeah. I don't think they ever really explain it.
No.
But yeah, do you want to throw a link into the Facebook group while we've got everyone's attention?
Oh, yes.
Please feel free to join our Facebook group, everyone, by the way. We had a load of people join after last week's stream, and there's pretty good conversations happening over last week. So
yeah,
if you're on Facebook, if you want to join our little Final Fantasy Union community, there's over 200 people in there now. So yeah, that'd be great if you could join us in there.
Pain is my girl. I love Pain so
Pain
much.
was basically the precursor to Lightning.
She was so cool.
Right?
Yeah, she is so cool. I hands down would buy a game about Pain, especially if it was about Pain's past with Nuge.
Because the weird thing is that the game has more story about Pain than probably anyone else.
I know,
but I guess that's because she was a new character and they had to do a lot of backstory about her, whereas the others didn't need it.
Yeah, like if they could make, even if they just made Final Fantasy 16 a similar story to what like Pain, Gipal, and Nuge and Barrelai went through, I would totally eat that up. Of the 4 heroes of Final Fantasy 15, which is our favorite, Ignis. That's not even like a question for us, really. We're kind of Ignis fangirls.
Team Ignis.
Although I can't watch that teaser trailer anymore. It's so sad. I can't.
Oh, another thing, Lawrence.
What?
So how many of you guys? We're going off on slight tangents here. I'm sorry. How many of you guys
have to do it, Sue? You have to
go off on a slight tangent.
Cosplay friggin' Pain. You have to do it. That would be amazing.
How many of you guys have done the Final Fantasy 15 survey that I?
Yeah. How many of you have done the survey? If you haven't, please do it.
I'm gonna put a link in.
Daryl's gonna insert a link. There you go. Oh, here it comes. Here comes the link. But yeah, no. Pain is badass.
The survey is going amazingly well. Like, what I think in the video I said that I was hoping for like a couple of 100 responses. Had way more than that.
Yeah, we've had like thousands now. Like,
I wasn't going to spoil it, Lauren.
Well, hey, I think that's pretty freaking amazing.
No, it's been absolutely crazy, and we've got some really cool insights that already come up. I think I'm probably going to close the survey soonish because I think things are starting to slow down a little bit on it, and like we've got more than enough insights, and people have had some complaints about it a little bit, but.
Some have been valid.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk about that in the video that we eventually do. The thing that we don't know is how we're going to do the video, because we were thinking it may be logistically... there's no spoilers in the survey, as far as I'm aware. It's pretty much based on the same survey they did for episode Dusk Sky, but I just added a few more things on there. But we were debating whether or not we should do the survey results in an active time report style, like they did for episode Dusk Sky. But then we were thinking logistically that would be very difficult. So we're not too sure how it's going to come out, but it will come out in some shape or form. It's quite interesting. That's all I'm going to say at the moment. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, Aranea is amazing. I do love
Aranea.
Aranea.
Does anyone remember Aranea's full name?
Highwind.
No, that's not the full name. I don't remember either. I'd say that our chances of getting Final Fantasy X-3 are high, but as for time, I don't know. Hashimoto basically said a little while ago that they really want to do 10 Part 3. That they see there's a lot of appetite within the community for it. The Final Fantasy X fan base is very passionate. But the problem is that the team who would make Final Fantasy X-3 is the same team that's working on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. What's going on?
Not much.
I feel like we're sick and we're drifting a little bit. So
No, sorry.
I think guys, we're probably gonna
Head off.
We're gonna call it a day now. If you could like the video before the stream ends, then that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
One thing I will say though is that like on that video that I did recently, there was a lot of hate for what I was saying, but like one of the things that was said was the fact that like Nojima, it was an accident, like the novel for Final Fantasy X Price of Eternity was an accident, but like, you know, I want to just say on the stream for like just as a response to those people, I definitely don't think it was an accident, because Square Enix wouldn't just release something that was mistakenly sent to someone. Like, if you think about how a company works, like they're going to go through edits, they're going to go through revisions, they have to send it to print, they have to check to see how it's printed, check to see if it's good, check to see, you know, design a cover. Like, if somebody released something like that by accident, like they wouldn't have gone through all the trouble of putting together a book for it. And then on top of that, they wouldn't have spent the money to make an audio drama based off of that novel as well. So like just to clear that up, like I just so that you're getting it from my own like mouth, I just think that like, you know, that is that's not the case. So just that. And please don't hurt me. I love Titus. I love Final Fantasy X. My video title does not mean that I hate Titus in the least bit. Like I love Titus, and I have read the content, and his head does blow off.
You're not fun. There will be another discussion on this channel same time next week. Exactly the same time next week, actually. Yeah, so I think we should disappear now.
Yeah. After all that.
Thank you everyone for joining the chat again, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
Bye guys.